Hello, and welcome back to Veganism, the Compassionate Choice. I'm Keith Baker, here again with George Ortega, and today we're doing our third episode entitled Health, Carnism, and Veganism. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about the benefits of a plant-based diet and the health benefits there, and some of the negative aspects of a carnistic diet too. But before we start, George has some facts that he would like to share.
Well, yeah, I mean, to put this in perspective, many of us are like very concerned with terrorism, climate change. There's some real, very global concerns that occupy many people's minds, but especially for parents. Like basically we're looking through the top 10 major causes of death in the United States, the top 10. And so among these, the number 1 is heart disease, number 2 is cancer, number 5 is stroke, number 3 is also chronic lower respiratory disease, which I think is related to asthma, which with milk and all. And number 7 is diabetes. So the point is that, basically, yeah, person, probably has a very small likelihood of being affected by terrorism, and then hopefully we can address a lot of the climate change. But these are real threats that are happening that parents are doing to their kids, people are doing to themselves, that are not speculative. These are like real harms that are killing people today.
Yeah, basically what you're saying is we are killing ourselves, and whether we're doing that because some people just don't care, they don't want to give up they don't want to give up dairy. They don't want to give up eating meat. Some people just don't know. And like you said, with terroristic incidents too, which a lot of people are afraid of, we have no control over that as individuals. With something like this, we have control over, and that's what we want to talk about today. We actually would like to just give examples of some of the negative aspects, like I said before, of eating meat, of eating fish, of consuming dairy. So that's actually where we're going to start today. So we actually have some examples too, and we're going to start with just eating meat and some of the negative aspects there. Meat, for example, is very high in fat, especially saturated fat, and what that'll do, that'll strain the heart through fat deposits in the arteries, including someone's blood pressure to increase, and it'll cause artery damage. Saturated fat is the major fat responsible for dangerous weight gain. Meat is very high in cholesterol. Eating meat will cause an inflammatory response that will lead to heart and cardiovascular disease. It's very dense in calories. Meat produces carcinogenic compounds when cooked. So that's basically comparison. Eating meat would also have the same negative effects of smoking cigarettes. And you'll see, as we're going on, you'll see the whole list of everything on the screen that you could read along with us. George, what are some other negatives of eating meat?
Well, again, meat is hard on the digestive system. When we eat plant-based foods, basically we're consuming amino acids that then are converted to protein. Whereas like when we consume meat, we're consuming the protein that's already been created, and then it has to be decomposed, it has to be broken down into the essential amino acids and then recreated by protein. That taxes the body, that taxes the digestive system. It leads to putrefaction within the intestines, and that basically leads to a lot of diseases, irritable bowel syndrome, stomach cramps, colon problems, hemorrhoids, constipation, and many other problems from this, overtaxing the system with meat.
Yeah, and you mentioned some of the diseases that are caused and conditions that are caused by eating meat. Some of the other ones, they cause autoimmune diseases too, such as arthritis, lupus, MS, and as well as a number of other diseases. Meat is one of the biggest causes of cancer. And you mentioned with everything going on in the digestive system, this will put you at risk for colon cancer because of all the bacteria, because of all the waste that really just gets stuck in your body and backed up. You're really at a higher risk for colon cancer if you eat meat as opposed to a plant-based diet. Now, meat itself, which some people don't realize, it includes a lot of drugs that humans are putting into the body that are not meant for them, including various, antibiotics and hormones and steroids, because like cows, for example, and chickens, they are injected with all these things to make them bigger, make them fatter, and this way, when you kill them and cut them up, you now get more portions to serve out, and you just keep the cycle going. And now people are putting those harmful, materials into their body.
Exactly, and then it's led to kinds of basically this accelerated growth has led to, for example, puberty is ordinarily takes like 13, 14 till kids reach puberty. Now they're reaching puberty at 10 or 11. It's just wreaking havoc with our normal biological growth systems, as a direct result of the meat.
Now let's also move on from meat for now, and we can move on to dairy. Would you like to start with the?
Yeah, I mean it's very ironic. For years, decades, the advertisers have been saying, well, drink milk, it's going to strengthen your bones. Well, no, actually, too much milk actually weakens your bones. It leads to bone loss. It leads, again, like with meat, to prostate cancer. A lot of dairy products, 'cause it's not just meat, it's cheese also. Basically, the problem is a lot of people have a lactose intolerance, probably because we're not biologically designed to eat, another animal's food.
Yep, and I mentioned that last show, too, about lactose intolerance, too. Like, why does milk affect us in some ways? Well, the same way as a human, the mother giving breast milk to her baby, because that's specifically for her child. She's not going to go feed, a calf. She's not going to go feed someone else's baby, because that's specifically for her child. Same thing with the cows being milked. That's the mother cow. You're able to milk her once she has her calf that's designed for that baby. But now us as humans are drinking it, and it's just, backwards in a sense. But, I'm not a baby cow. You're not a baby cow. So why are we drinking that? So it's not made for us. And now also with lactose, it'll cause some digestion problems. It causes nausea, cramps, bloating, diarrhea. These are all issues that come just from drinking regular cow's milk, and yet we seem to do it anyway.
Yeah, and again, like not even adult cows drink cow's milk. So
no.
Something else that most people aren't aware of: milk, dairy products cause acne. They, like meat, raise cholesterol levels. Basically, they cause, in addition to prostate cancer, they also cause other kinds of cancer, like ovarian cancer. There's a study that showed that women who consumed 4 more servings of dairy products each day were twice as likely to develop ovarian cancer. So this is a substantial, significant risk.
Yeah, and also there's also been talk in the past few years about the youth and their rapid weight gain. Some of the things you hear about that they're not going out, they're not being active, they're at home playing video games or on the computer, whatever it is, but that seems to get the blame. Now, something coming from just drinking more milk, one study found that a study of more than 12,000 children showed that the more milk they drank, the more weight they gained. Skim and even 1% milk led to more weight gain than drinking 2% or whole milk, which is interesting because a lot of people think, oh, I'm drinking the skim milk, that's less fat, I'm healthier, whereas the study of these 12,000 kids showed exactly the opposite.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, people don't know this, that's because there's so much advertising promoting the pseudo benefits of dairy products. People don't understand what's actually happening to them, by consuming these products.
Yep. And now, so I think we kind of established the point there on dairy, but now let's move on to fish. And that's actually something I think a lot of people are starting to get on board with. The oceans are just so polluted. These fish are just contaminated, so what you're eating is just not good for anyone. Now, the biggest thing you hear about fish is the amount of mercury in them. The mercury levels in tuna, for example, are 10 million, that's million, times higher than in regular seawater. Now, that's just, that's a huge number too. And one of the things you think about, what we're giving kids, send them to school, tuna fish sandwiches, those have been around forever. I mean, I had those growing up, so definitely not something you want to give your kids.
And right, with tuna, for example, which is probably the most popular fish that's given to children, especially 2 or 3 servings for adults, puts you at risk for mercury doing damage. So imagine kids being, having far less weight. If these kids are even eating 1 or 2 tuna sandwiches per week, that's putting them at major risk.
Yep. And with some other fishes in the ocean, there's not one specific, but based on studies of fish that we just take out of the ocean and we cook and we buy in supermarkets, 25% of these fish that are tested, they have plastic in their guts. So basically, unless you're gutting the fish yourself, which if you're buying it from the supermarket, you're probably not. You're just taking it home, putting it on the grill, putting it on the frying pan, what have you. That means you're probably just eating plastic that's just been sitting in the ocean for God knows how long, where it came from, and that's what we're ingesting. And then another reason why us as a whole, the whole human race, are getting sicker. You see increases in, like we said, with that list that you said at the beginning of the show, increases in cancer, diabetes, heart issues. I mean, you name it, there's a bunch of issues. And, I mean, it's all right in front of us, too, where a lot of this can be coming from. Now, what we wanted to do is move on to the health benefits of a plant-based diet, or a vegan diet, we'll say. So we have a whole list of benefits. So I'm going to read them along with the viewer. Vegans enjoy a lower risk of heart disease, a lower rate of obesity. Vegans have lower rates of prostate cancer, colon cancer, and breast cancer. They have a lower rate of type 2 diabetes, lower cholesterol, lower blood pressure. A vegan diet lessens and often eliminates PMS symptoms in women. A vegan diet will obviously eliminate the amount of dairy you're taking in, which will help eliminate allergies that come from that. Studies have shown that vegans have a better overall health compared to omnivores, and even vegetarians themselves. Vegans tend to have a better mood and outlook on life than omnivores, and they live on average of 3 to 6 years longer, which is we get one chance here on Earth, so we kind of want to spend extra time on here, but. So you just we just saw the whole list. What do you think about all this, George?
Well, that's what's important is it's not just that we're treating these farm animals, extremely cruelty, that we're essentially in many ways torturing them. It's not just that we're hurting them. We are hurting ourselves so much by eating meat. And again, if there are so many benefits to our health, to our longevity by becoming vegan, if it's just so much healthier, it just makes complete sense to stop being so cruel to the animals and to ourselves, and treat all sentient beings much more compassionately.
Yeah, and I think you just made a great point too. We said that in the first episode. We're here to present facts to the people, and hopefully they make their own decision. Of course, we love everyone to be vegan, but one of the things we said was, if you're not doing it for the animals, at least do it for yourself. Do it for your kids. Do it for your family, because you don't want to see them get sick and go through some of the conditions they have to go to. I mean, be selfish in a way. If you get yourself sick, now what do you have to do? You have to go get treatment, go to the hospital. Even if you have insurance, it's still going to cost you a ton of money to get better. Whereas all you really have to do is cut out all the things that are making you sick, which we've just listed, meat, dairy, fish, all that stuff, and
and
again, be healthier.
You raise a very important point. It doesn't matter what your reasons are for eating less meat and going vegan, whether it's for the animal's sake or for your own. It just makes, it's the right thing to do.
Yep, and actually, as we'll get into, I believe, our next show, we're going to get into more of the global impact of it too. And, on future shows, we're going to be, get into a variety of topics. So, just continue tuning in, and then, you'll see week to week what we're discussing. And as you keep seeing throughout the shows, you have our email coming across the screen. Please feel free to give me and George any comments, any feedbacks, any suggestions, anything you would like to see us cover. Send us those emails. So one of the other things we're talking about, I know we started talking about health, and and we just got into the treatment of animals. One thing people don't think about is, well, these animals have to come from somewhere. People do have to kill them and package them and keep them on the farms and all that stuff. Is those workers are not treated, well at all. They're treated just barely better than the animals are. George, you want to go to some examples?
Yeah, the being a worker in a factory farm is one of the most dangerous jobs that a person can hold. I mean, they routinely inhale, hazardous amounts of ammonia, of hydrogen sulfide gases, and these ingredients, they're so unnatural, they're so harmful, they cause severe health problems. Um, Another problem is that these workers are doing the same thing, minute after minute, hour after hour, day after day. It's kind of like they're human robots in a sense,
Hmm.
conveyor belt, and so like they're prone to a lot of repetitive stress injuries, just doing the same thing. Um, Another, it's a social part of this problem is that what happens is the factory farm industry will actually go into Mexico and basically recruit workers, telling them that you can have a job working in the United States even though it's illegal, and that then what happens is when they come into the United States, since these are like illegal immigrants, they have no rights, and they're subject to a great amount of abuse and low pay, and again dangerous working circumstances by these corporations that just do not are not concerned for their welfare.
Yep, and actually, what you just mentioned right there, about 38% of all the factory farm workers in the U.S. are undocumented immigrants too, doing the job. So yeah, they're brought in here with whatever lies they're told, but now they're here, and because they're undocumented too, their superiors can harass them and treat them less than they would a citizen here, because some of the undocumented immigrants, they don't know where to go, they don't feel they have rights, so they're just as abused as the animals in a sense. Um, Now there's also social harms of some of these where the slaughterhouses are. Counties with slaughterhouses, they have 4 times the national average of violent arrests, with much higher rates of alcoholism, domestic abuse, child abuse, and suicide. And this is something we're not just pulling out of thin air. There are studies that have shown this. I mean, don't believe us. Just there's the internet. Go research it. But that's the way it is.
Yeah, and what I mean, this makes sense because these as we've gone into in the previous episodes, the way these animals are treated in these farms is so inhumane, so callous. In other words, like these animals are literally very often being, torn open alive, while they're living. They're being boiled alive. And what happens is these workers are subjected to this cruelty day after day, and what happens is they become numb to the pain and suffering of others. They're more likely to go home and abuse their spouse or abuse their children, become more violent. They reflect the violence that they see, that they witness in these slaughterhouses, and they bring it out into the world of people.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that too, because I know myself, before I found this out too, I automatically thought, like, who could kill an animal? Animal day after day after day, must be some sort of sociopath. Where, the more I read into it, it's not really the case. In some areas, yeah, people just torment animals, not feel a thing. But like in this case with the undocumented workers, they will do anything to come in this country, just get a job to help support their family, whether it's here or back home. So, I mean, they're obviously compassionate people. And I say this knowing some people might disagree with me if they're compassionate, how they're killing animals. But I say it in the sense that I don't believe they want to do this, but they see no other choice to make a living. So now if you're seeing this and that's what you're forced to do just to make ends meet for your family, I mean, you're not enjoying this too. So you're kind of dealing with, I'm going to say, trauma that you're seeing every single day. Now you just got to bring that home. I mean, that's just not an ideal lifestyle for some of these people.
And Keith, I don't think it's just these workers, because like the entire world, you know, certainly this country is in denial. All of the people who are eating meat, they know, they know, they've been they have been aware of the research, of the videos on the internet and on television. They understand what's happening to these animals, and so they also become numb, not just to the suffering of these animals, but to the suffering, their own suffering, and the suffering of people around them. You know, so it basically just numbs not just the workers, but the people who pay those workers to torture those animals. It's something that people want to deny, but you know, this information, this knowledge maintains itself within their unconscious, and again, it cheapens human life. It just causes humans to devalue human life as well.
Yep. And I see that time is getting a little shorter, so before we could keep going on this forever. One thing I did want to say too, for anyone out there who's thinking maybe on the border of trying a vegan diet, or who might have health issues too, that have seen this too, maybe they didn't know why they're sick, we would encourage you, try a vegan diet for a month. Obviously, again, we would love you to do it till the end of time, but try it, see the benefits, do the research. There are some people who what's called like a vegan raw diet, to try to balance the pH level in their bodies. Like when we're born, the average human, their pH level is at 7.4. That's like a balanced alkaline level. Now, as we grow up and we eat meat and dairy and stuff that's more acidic, our pH level's out of balance. So now if it gets to anywhere below 7, which, start at 7.4, below 7, that's when you start running the risk of some of these diseases and conditions we've discussed. So eating more of, an alkaline type diet, fresh fruits, vegetables, make sure you get your greens in there. Yeah, please use the internet search so you can find like different meals if you don't know how to do it, juices, whatever. Try it 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then you'll see the difference right there. And then hopefully you would like to, hey, I'm feeling good. My condition's, lessened. I don't feel inflammation anymore. My blood pressure's gone down. I have more energy in the morning. You're going to see all these benefits. So we would encourage you to try that. And again, you have the email. Myself and George would be glad to point you in the right direction. Hey, I don't know where to begin. We'll be glad to, help you out with all that. So I just wanted to get that point across.
Excellent. And again, so I know we have a video we want to show also with this, but we will be going into much more detail into the fact that meat, and dairy and all, they cause a lot of disease, and becoming vegan, if we have these diseases, as you were saying before, becoming vegan will actually cure a lot of these diseases.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, you did mention the video. So we do have a video sent to us from PETA, and thanks of Casey Kern, who's a senior action team coordinator at PETA, and he has given us access to a ton of videos, which we'll be showing from time to time. So for George and myself, we want to thank you for tuning in to Veganism, the Compassionate Choice, and we hope to see you again next time.
People are making money off making our family members sick, and that's disgusting.
We just decided, at least let's just give it a try for a month and see what happens.
Looking at myself as a little kid and being in school and learning about the food pyramid, nothing about plant-based diets was in the forefront. It was all about eating your protein only from meat. So I felt a little cheated. And it just kind of makes me feel like my mom has diabetes because she doesn't know any better, because the government told her she's eating healthy. The government does not have my back. Knowing that these health organizations are being sponsored by the meat industry was terrifying.
It gives you all of the information you need without the gory, real details.
What? Why are they alive?
You've been told that eating meat is almost necessary for survival, and that's just false. And so now it opens my mind into thinking about how we treat animals. And if this isn't necessary, then why have we been doing it? I don't see myself ever being able to eat meat again.
My body just feels better. I have more energy. The food is amazing.
Go watch What the Health
on Netflix.